Hi, I'm going to do a quick breakdown on making a device from ASD, which is the Ableton Sound Design crew and team. They built a device in Ableton where you load up an instance of sampler and throw anything and everything from pads, leads, Foley, loops, bass sounds, and duplicate a bunch of instances, and hitting one note would trigger an amalgamation of all these sounds, creating new ideas. I recently switched to Bitwig, so I wanted to recreate that device in Bitwig um, as much as I can. But kind of a disclaimer, but in Ableton, sampler has a reverse function, reversal playback. In Bitwig's sampler in specific, you don't have that functionality. I'm pretty sure you might be able to recreate that effect in the grid. I recently switched to Bitwig, so I am still learning some ins and outs. But yeah, I wanted to break down and show how I recreated that in Bitwig. So first thing you're going to do is start with a sampler, of course. I'm going to take off these modulations right now and get a sample overall. I think one of these. It's a nice one. Yeah, it's Crunchy Rocks one. So playing it as is. I'm also going to add a delay within a sampler, have it on milliseconds, turn it all the way down, open up the filters, remove any feedback, and turn the mix all the way up. And then I am going to build a new device page, which will basically be the macros that I route to the sampler. Just to go through it real quick, I am going to macro the pitch, the panning, the volume. I'm also going to modulate the delay time and the attack and decay inside the sampler. Now to add modulators to these pads or these macros, majority of them are all going to be random, but the first one I am going to set up is a steps. I am just going to adjust it to where I want it to be. So like 48, and I think no advance is what it was on. Have it also on bipolar, and just have different settings. We'll get more into this later, but just set up the device for now. I'll macro it after, or set it to the macros afterwards, but we're going to do all the random modulators. Again, Bitwig has a bunch. I just found random being the more easier and simpler one. So first thing you're going to do is have smoothing turned on for at least all of them, I would say. You can control the rate on each parameter. Experiment with it as much as you can. It doesn't have to be all the same, but and then for some specific macros, I will have the bipolar setting turned on. So in this instance, I'll be routing this to the pitch of the device. So you get a different pitch each time. Again, another random. This will also be bipolar because we are setting it to the panning of the device. So again, we want it to be able to go left and right in the stereo field. And then we are going to add another random. Again, all of these are going to be random. This one I wouldn't set to bipolar because it is going to be messing with volume. You don't want it to get too quiet or too loud depending on your sound source. You might load up a sound that's louder in volume or quieter in volume, so I would just have it be without any bipolar settings and have it ramp up a little up and down. The fourth one, again, random would be to the delay time. So again, smooth. Could also leave this on non-bipolar because I don't think you'd want extreme settings, but you know, mess around. This is kind of what I ended up going with. And again, mess with the timing again. And then last but not least, or the final two, again, random on the attack time. This could also be non-bipolar. And route that to the attack. And then last but not least, one final random for the decay. And then this can be bipolar. Smooth. And route it to the decay. So once you have that set up, you are with just one note controlling pitch, panning, the volume, your decay time, attack, and decay time. Already getting different results. So now routing the step sequencer would basically be routed to every one of these macros now. You go in one by one and set it to however much you want. Again, since the step sequencer is going to be having different instances, each note trigger you play will give a different result in terms of pitch, speed, attack, decay. And then I'm just hitting C3 on my MIDI keyboard. If I were to go up and or down, you get different results. Once that's done, you can group this. And then, if I'm not mistaken, you can set up double check. I believe it's a container, so instrument. I think we could do this within. Yeah, convert to instrument selector. So now you have your one sampler set up with the Crunchy Rocks Foley. I'll basically duplicate this layer, or prior to duplicating it, there's a mode here. I believe you set it to random other is what I also had selected. Yeah, so basically it will choose a different instance of any of these racks that you put together. It's almost like jumping in between any and every sample. So now you could duplicate this layer and go into the new one and add a completely different sample. So let's try another Foley sound. Add in there. Let's add another one. And let's do a pad this time. It's cool. Let's do another one. And this time, another pad. Try to find a good one. That's cool, sure, why not? And then another instance, and maybe have this be a bass sound of some sorts. Again, just kind of going through the random samples. Sure. And let's do one more, and we'll do a percussion loop. Yeah, sure, why not? Cool, so now you have all these instances. As soon as I start hitting a note, it'll trigger a sound, but we're not getting an instance of all of them. So the cool thing about the ASD device in Ableton, the way it's routed, the way it's set up, is you could pretty much, I believe, hit one note and you could trigger all instances at once, Again, I'm pretty sure there is a way in Bitwig to do this. I just haven't figured it out. My way of going about this is just hitting a bunch of notes on your MIDI keyboard or on your actual keyboard and triggering different effects and sounds together. So this is random notes. That's already solid. And then, depending on what purpose and reason you want to use this for, start adding effects. I would add a convolution reverb to this. I'd maybe also add another delay. Maybe chorus for more width. And then another reverb. And just for volume purposes, a tool just to push the sound a little more if it's quieter than usual at the end. And now again, once I trigger a few notes, we get this. Again, this is me just hitting away at my MIDI keyboard until I get some kind of cool ideas. I'm going to be playing the higher register notes and see what happens. Oh, let's go lower now. Could even push this a little more in volume. But yeah, it's kind of what I wanted to show. These are some of the other few racks, using the same rack, just throwing a bunch of different samples in there, and these are what I got off of them. So. It's endless. You could add as many instances of sampler. You could cater to specific elements in the song, so to speak. I mean, I have a bunch of pad-like elements and percussion and Foley to make more, I guess, atmospheric sounds. But I'm pretty sure you could just make a bunch of instances of bass sounds and layer them on top of each other and post-process them however you want. It's kind of endless. That's why I called it randomizer. But again, this is by the ASD team. I'll link their channel and the video in the description for anyone that uses Ableton in specific. But this was me just trying to recreate it as much as I can to its best version in Bitwig. Again, I'm pretty new to Bitwig, so I'm still kind of learning its ins and outs. I'm also pretty sure you could get even more advanced with it in the grid and maybe even have the reversal function in there, because you can't, again, macro the reverse playback in sampler, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I am going to be putting this device in the description below for anyone that wants it to mess around. But again, all credit to the ASD team. I would use this on a regular basis in my productions, so go check out their video, go check out their channel. They have a bunch more other cool tutorials and insight videos. But yeah, support them, subscribe and like to them. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks. Peace.